I notice it the instant I step into the reception hall. Something feels off. The chandeliers glow cascades over the flawless white tablecloths like liquid diamonds, illuminating the rose arrangements I chose myself. Pale pink blossoms rest gently against clouds of baby's breath, precisely as I instructed. Crystal glassware catches the light, scattering faint rainbows across the walls. On the surface, everything appears perfect. Everything I planned for Trevor's wedding has come together exactly as I intended, everything except for the family table. My steps falter halfway across the marble floor, the sound of my heels suddenly echoing in my ears. I count silently 1, 2, 3 chairs. 3, not 4. I blink, certain I've missed something. Mother, father, Trevor. 3 chairs at the family table. None for me. I stand motionless, clutching my clipboard tightly against my chest like a shield. A waiter brushes past and murmurs an apology, but I barely register the words. Around me, the hum of conversation continues, untouched by my realization. I can't look away from that table, from the gap where my seat should be. Mother turns and notices me, her champagne glass lifted halfway to her lips. The faint smile she gives doesn't reach her eyes. Justine, she says, my name falling from her lips like an afterthought. She asks whether everything is ready for Trevor's entrance. I nod toward the table. There are only 3 chairs. Her gaze flicks briefly toward the arrangement before returning to me, calm and unbothered. Yes, you don't need one. The words strike like a physical blow. I feel my shoulders stiffen, my posture straighten instinctively, the reflex of someone bracing against humiliation. I see, I answer, my tone steadier than I expect. Trevor appears beside Mother, radiant in the wedding gown I helped her choose, ivory lace over champagne satin, the perfect match for her complexion. The family table is missing a seat, I say quietly, though the truth is already obvious. Trevor's brows crease slightly, that familiar look of irritation forming between them. Maybe the staff made a mistake, she replies, her voice carrying that tone she always uses when someone else is to blame. I hold her gaze for a long, uncomfortable moment. Understood, I say at last. The words taste bitter, but I keep my expression calm, my voice even. Then I turn away, gripping my clipboard as though it's the only thing keeping me upright. Every step feels deliberate, a performance of control. In the quiet near the service entrance, I pretend to review my clipboard, though I already know every line of the schedule by heart. My hands tremble faintly despite my effort to appear composed. Only last night, I was still here at 3 in the morning, checking every centerpiece, approving the lighting, making sure everything was flawless for Trevor's big day. While the family slept soundly in their hotel rooms, I combed through every corner of this venue. My phone buzzes with a text from the florist. We're only continuing because we trust you. Trevor hasn't paid us. I close my eyes, recalling the moment last week when I quietly transferred $4,200 from my own account to cover the deposit after her card was declined. Another silent expense, another contribution to her perfect day that she will never acknowledge. I glance toward a decorative mirror on the wall. My navy dress is simple and elegant, one I designed and sewed myself. My hair is neatly pinned into a chignon, my makeup precise. Nothing in my reflection gives away the emptiness spreading through me. 3 chairs, not 4. A few guests glance in my direction, whispering behind their programs. I straighten my shoulders and pretend not to notice. Your sister's wedding is beautiful. You did an amazing job. The voice startles me. Amanda Wilson, my childhood friend from Columbus, stands beside me, warmth in her eyes. Thank you, I say with a small, practiced smile that turns genuine for her. Just doing my job. Your job. Amanda's eyebrows lift in surprise. You planned all this? I thought you only helped with the dress. I shake my head lightly. I coordinated everything, the venue, the flowers, the menu, the music. That's incredible, she says softly, glancing toward the ballroom. Though I'm surprised you're not sitting with your family. Before I can answer, a memory surfaces, Mother's voice at the rehearsal dinner last night, her arm wrapped proudly around Trevor. This is my precious daughter, she'd said, the one who will inherit everything. When Uncle Harrison had asked about me, her response was dismissive. She's busy with work, not really part of the family celebrations. Not really part of the family. The words echo again, sharp and familiar. Now I sit in a secluded alcove, my laptop balanced on my knees, finger hovering over the send button of a critical email. 7 days ago, I sent a formal notice about unpaid invoices, polite, professional, but unmistakably firm. There was no reply. Family loyalty against professional integrity, the conflict that defines my life. I picture that empty chair again, the quiet decision to exclude me. 3 chairs, not 4. This ends tonight. 15 minutes later, I'm sitting in a corner booth at Café Roma, across from the venue. My laptop glows softly in the dim light, an untouched espresso cooling beside it. My fingers move over the keys as I open the financial records I've kept since becoming the family's event planner 3 years ago. My stomach knots as I scan the mortgage statements. This can't be right, I whisper, though the numbers leave no room for doubt. Our family home outside Columbus, the large brick colonial with white columns my parents were so proud of, cost $1,200,000 and now carries not one, but 2 mortgages. The second, taken out just 6 months ago, nearly equals the first. I move on to the credit card statements, 4 months overdue on 3 accounts, with minimum payments ignored and interest piling up daily. Each statement bears Trevor's signature, approved by Mother. Then I find the trust fund records, and my pulse stops cold. The Grandmother Crawford Educational Trust, established for both Trevor and me, shows a remaining balance of $3,421. A year ago, it held more than $240,000. The log of withdrawals, each labeled S. Crawford Educational Expenses, shows the account drained steadily over 8 months. The same 8 months Trevor spent preparing her extravagant wedding while claiming financial hardship. My phone vibrates against the table, the screen lighting up with the florist's name, Miss Crawford. Sarah's voice trembles slightly when I answer. I'm sorry to interrupt during the wedding, but we need payment confirmation by 4 o'clock. The remaining balance of $12,600 hasn't been paid, and Miss Trevor isn't returning our calls. Before I can reply, another text flashes across my screen, this one from the caterer. Urgent. Credit card declined for wedding meal balance. Please advise. Then another follows from the lighting technician. Final payment not received. Should we proceed with reception lighting? I close my eyes, and for a moment, I'm not standing in a cafe, but back in our childhood home, sunlight reflecting off polished hardwood floors, crystal chandeliers shimmering overhead. I remember that Christmas when 12-year-old Trevor unwrapped a purebred show horse, while I sat beside her holding a department store gift card. The following summer, she toured Europe while I worked double shifts at the local diner. College acceptance letters arrived the same week. Trevor's came with my parents' promise of a fully furnished apartment near campus. Mine came with a stack of loan applications. We believe in you, Justine, Dad had said, resting a proud hand on my shoulder. You're the responsible one. You'll manage just fine. I signed those papers alone in my bedroom, $40,000 in student loans, with interest rates I barely understood. The payments still arrive on schedule every month, draining my Brooklyn rent budget, while Trevor's credit card bills continue to be mailed to our parents' address. My fingers slide across my laptop's touchpad, tracing the trust fund withdrawals backward in time. Each deduction aligns perfectly with Trevor's social media highlights: Aspen ski vacation, Bermuda holiday, Mediterranean cruise. Educational expenses, indeed. A forgotten image surfaces, last Thanksgiving dinner. Mother raising her glass in a toast. To Trevor's new position at the gallery, she'd said proudly. No mention of my company's expansion overseas, no recognition of the award I had earned the month before. My phone vibrates again. A message from Michael, the hotel manager I've worked with for years. Is everything all right? We noticed you weren't seated with family. Before I can respond, another notification appears from Janine, the photographer who has covered nearly every major event I've organized in the past 5 years. I've got your back. Whatever you need, just say the word. Then another message, the DJ, the videographer, the cake designer, all offering quiet support. Their concern isn't for the bride, but for me. 3 days ago returns to me with painful clarity. I'd arrived early at the venue to set out place cards when I overheard my mother speaking on the phone in the next room. "Prepare 3 seats only," she'd said. "Justine doesn't count as family. She's just the help." The words had burned, but I'd buried the sting and focused on making sure Trevor's centerpieces arrived on schedule. Now, in the present, I open Instagram. Trevor's latest post gleams on the screen, so blessed to have the perfect family supporting my perfect day. I planned every detail myself. Attached is a photo of her reception layout, my handwriting clearly visible on the table cards. I shut my eyes for a moment, weighing loyalty against self-respect, the missing chair, the drained trust, the years of dismissal dressed up as compliments about my independence. Mother's words echo through me once more. Justine doesn't count as family. With steady hands, I open the file I prepared a week ago, an official notice of service withdrawal for non-payment, effective immediately. My company's logo crowns the document, crisp and impersonal. "Family respects family," I whisper into the quiet cafe. "This isn't respect." I click send. One by one, I forward copies to every vendor still awaiting payment. Each email sent feels like shedding another layer of weight. The burden that has pressed on me for years begins to lift, replaced by something unfamiliar, the lightness of finally choosing myself. My phone lights up with notifications, but I silence them, close the laptop, and take a sip of the espresso that has long gone cold. It tastes like freedom. 10 minutes later, I am back at the venue. I spot Trevor first, her veil catching the chandelier's glow as she moves quickly between tables, a ripple of panic breaking through her practiced grace. Her eyes meet mine across the reception hall, and for the first time, I see genuine fear flash behind them. "Justine!" Her voice carries, trembling in a way I've never heard before. "What's happening?" "The bar just closed, and the hotel manager is asking for payment." "Fix this." I set my laptop on the nearest table and close the lid with a quiet snap. 7 days, I say evenly. "I give you 7 days to resolve the unpaid invoices." 7 days of silence. I straighten my posture. "I've withdrawn my company's master account guarantee. The hotel now requires immediate payment." Trevor's face twists, not with remorse or gratitude for the thousands I've already covered, but with outrage. "What are you talking about? You can't just." "I can," I interrupt calmly. And I did. Every vendor received notice of suspension 10 minutes ago. Behind her, chaos begins to unfold. The string quartet halts mid-song and starts packing their instruments. Waiters quietly remove half-filled glasses of champagne. At the center of it all stands my mother, holding her credit card toward the hotel manager, confusion hardening into fury when the transaction fails. My father steps forward, trying another card, then another, his shoulders sagging with each refusal. For the first time in my life, I see him look small. Across the room, Elise, the photographer I've trusted for years, catches my eye and gives a faint nod before lifting her camera to capture the unfolding chaos. Every flash documents the collapse of their perfect illusion. I rise, smoothing my navy dress. The clipboard I've carried all day no longer feels like a symbol of servitude, but of something else entirely: authority, resolve, independence. Each step I take toward the heart of the room feels heavy with meaning, as if I'm crossing not just a ballroom, but the invisible line that has kept me beneath them all my life. The hotel manager spots me and straightens immediately. "Miss Crawford," he says with measured respect, "thank you for coming over. I have the contracts right here, as requested." Beside him, my mother's eyes narrow into thin, dangerous slits. What is she talking about? "We hired her company. She works for us." Trevor's voice trembles, brittle with disbelief. "Actually," the manager replies, his tone polite but noticeably cool toward her, "Miss Crawford's event planning firm is one of our most trusted partners. Her company's master account guarantee was the only reason we proceeded without full payment in advance." The shift happens instantly. Staff who had moments ago been attentive to my family now turn their focus toward me. Glasses of water appear at my table, not theirs. A chair is pulled out for my convenience, not for theirs. The entire energy of the room changes, and the power dynamic tilts so fast it leaves me almost dizzy. Trevor grabs my arm, her acrylic nails pressing painfully into my skin. "Please don't do this," she whispers, her voice cracking into a desperate plea. "You'll ruin everything, just this one day, my wedding day." For a heartbeat, I hesitate. Beneath the anger and years of disappointment, a faint memory flickers, the two of us building blanket forts in our childhood living room, before favoritism became her birthright. For a fleeting second, the urge to show mercy stirs within me. Mother senses the hesitation. She strides forward, her designer heels striking the marble floor with practiced authority. Her expression is set in the confident mask she wears at Columbus Country Club galas, the one meant to preserve the Crawford reputation at all costs. She won't dare, she declares loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. Justine has always been just a shadow in this family. She knows her place. The words drop into the room like stones sinking through clear water, quiet but impossible to ignore. A shadow. Just a shadow. I meet her gaze and watch the moment her confidence falters, reflected in the steadiness of my own. The clipboard in my hand no longer shakes. "What's going on?" someone whispers among the guests. "Are they not paying?" another murmurs. "The sister planned everything," a woman replies. Apparently, they never paid her company. I take the document the hotel manager offers and the pen he holds out. My signature flows across the suspension confirmation in smooth, deliberate strokes, the same precision that has built my career. The looping letters of my name stand not just for my identity, but for my worth. "I gave you 7 days to settle the payment," I say evenly. "You ignored me." "I'm simply enforcing the contract." My father steps forward, his face pale. "Justine, please. We can talk about this privately. Like you discussed removing my chair from the family table?" I reply, my voice steady as I open my professional folder and remove the document I found 3 days ago. "Or shall we talk about how Trevor drained the trust fund, the one I was also meant to share?" A murmur ripples through the crowd, gasps overlapping in waves. Trevor's new husband turns toward her, disbelief hardening into anger. "That money was meant for both of us," I continue, my voice clear and unwavering. $40,000 that could have paid off my student loans I had to take because every ounce of family support went to her. My mother's expression tightens. "You have no proof," she snaps. Without a word, I slide the bank statements toward her. "I have documentation of every withdrawal and every transfer." Trevor's tears change from feigned distress to genuine panic, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "They told me you wouldn't mind," she stammers. "They said you never expected anything from the family anyway." And in that moment, I see the truth, the clarity that has eluded me for years. They never valued me. They never would. The missing chair wasn't an accident, it was a message. I close the folder and slip it under my arm. The weight that has anchored me for years finally lifts. I straighten, feeling taller, lighter, free. "I may not count as family," I say, my voice carrying across the hushed room, "but I count as a professional, and professionals get paid." I turn and walk toward the exit, their stunned silence following me. Behind me, I hear the collapse of Trevor's perfect day, the low murmur of scandalized guests, the quiet clatter of glassware, and the rhythmic clicks of Elise's camera documenting every second. With each step, the invisible chains of duty and longing fall away. By the time I reach the grand doorway, I am weightless. The afternoon sunlight greets me as I step outside, warm against my skin. For the first time in my life, I stand fully in my own light, not as a shadow, but as myself. Half an hour later, the once bustling reception hall empties like water draining from a basin. Guests clutch their gift bags and whisper as they slip toward the exits. Where laughter and champagne toasts rang out an hour earlier, waitstaff now stack unused flutes onto rolling carts. The white roses I had chosen so carefully droop in their vases, petals falling like pale snow onto the untouched place settings. From the shadows near the service entrance, I watch silently. Trevor's new husband, Trevor, paces near the half-cut wedding cake, phone pressed to his ear, confusion etched across his face. The six-tier cake, one I had designed in detail with the baker, stands uneven and half dismantled, its bride and groom topper leaning awkwardly to one side. The substitute coordinator I hired in my absence approaches an elderly couple with a polite smile. "I'm so sorry," she says quietly, "but there's been a financial situation with the hosting family. The reception is ending early." Across the room, Mother's church friends gather in a tight huddle, glancing toward her where she sits rigid and alone at that three-chair table, eyes fixed on nothing. A small, aching part of me wants to feel triumphant. Instead, I feel empty, drained, but at peace. Later that evening, I kick off my heels in my small apartment, still wearing the navy dress I had sewn with my own hands. The difference between this modest space and the grand halls of the Columbus Country Club hits me again. My fingers trace the worn fabric of my second-hand sofa, a far cry from the antique Louis XIV furniture Mother insists completes her living room. My phone lights up for the 19th time. Father. Trevor. Mother. Trevor again. The wedding planner. Trevor. Mother. Father. I watch the notifications pile up one after another, each one striking my composure like a small hammer against glass. Then, with 3 deliberate taps, I block every family number. The quiet that follows feels like the first real breath I've taken in years. A chilled bottle of Veuve Clicquot waits in my refrigerator, a gift from a grateful client that I had been saving for a special occasion. If today doesn't qualify, nothing ever will. The cork bursts free with a satisfying pop, bouncing off the ceiling. To professional integrity, I whisper into the empty room, raising my glass in a solitary toast. The glow from my laptop screen cuts through the dimness. I open my banking app and wince at the balance. Then I begin making calls. "Mary? It's Justine Crawford." "Yes, about today's wedding." "I know, and I'm so sorry you were caught in the middle." I inhale deeply. "I'll cover your outstanding balance personally. This isn't your fault." I repeat the same call to the small florist who had stayed late arranging boutonnieres, the family-owned bakery that built the towering 6-tier cake, and the string quartet whose music was abruptly cut short. By the time I finish, my credit card carries an additional $14,000 in charges. "We always knew we could trust you, Miss Crawford," the florist tells me, gratitude softening her voice. "That's why we continued despite the payment problems." Professional integrity matters more than family loyalty sometimes, I answer quietly, surprised by how steady I sound. Moments later, my inbox fills with new messages. The subject lines tell their own story. Notice of default. Second mortgage payment. Crawford family residence. Another from the Columbus Business Journal. Local family faces multiple lawsuits. A glance at social media shows Trevor has changed her relationship status to "it's complicated." Beneath it, a hasty post reads, "Anyone need a slightly used wedding dress? DM for details." Another email arrives from the church secretary confirming my mother's resignation from the parish board due to personal circumstances. My father's message sits unopened in my inbox. Subject line, "Urgent financial advice needed." I delete it without hesitation. Next, I scroll through my contacts and remove each family member from my emergency list. The field blinks empty for a few seconds before I type my therapist's name instead. My finger hovers over the folder labeled family photos on my phone, childhood birthdays, holidays, smiling faces that no longer feel like home. For a moment, I consider deleting them. Instead, I create a new album titled "What I Overcame" and move every photo there. In my journal, I write one simple line: the empty chair wasn't rejection, it was direction. I curl up on my window seat, watching the city's lights shimmer across the skyline. Tomorrow will bring consequences I can't predict: anger, legal threats, emotional manipulation, maybe all 3. But tonight, the knot in my stomach has finally loosened. The heaviness on my shoulders has lifted. My apartment no longer feels small, only peaceful. Sometimes, the most powerful seat at the table is the one you choose to walk away from. 2 days after the wedding disaster, the headline appears on my tablet during breakfast: "Crawford family home enters foreclosure." The stark black letters stare back from the white screen. My coffee cools beside an untouched bagel as I scroll through the article detailing their financial collapse. Another notification slides across the screen, an email from Mrs. Peterson, my mother's bridge partner of 15 years. Is it true your parents are moving into an apartment? Everyone at the club is talking. I swipe it away and notice a new LinkedIn update beneath it. Trevor Crawford is now seeking new opportunities in event coordination. The irony stings. She's trying to step into my industry after taking credit for my work at her own wedding. My phone buzzes with a new alert. Crawford Family Trust, legal proceedings initiated. The trust Trevor drained, the one where my name existed only on paper, never in practice. I turn my devices face down and finish my coffee. The liquid is cold, bitter, grounding. I don't smile and I don't flinch. I rinse the cup, set it in the dishwasher, every movement deliberate, measured, and calm, the same discipline that has always sustained me. 3 weeks later, she appears without warning. I look up from my desk to find my mother standing in the doorway of my office, her purse clutched in trembling hands. Patricia Crawford, the woman who once commanded rooms, now looks small. Designer fabrics replaced by modest department store attire, her blonde highlights faded, gray roots showing through. We made a terrible mistake, she says, her voice stripped of its former authority. We need your help. I gesture to the chair across from my desk, the irony not lost on either of us. It's a chair I offer freely, one she once denied me. I needed your love my entire life, I say quietly. You made a different choice. She starts to speak, but my phone lights up with Trevor's name. I let it ring until voicemail takes over, never breaking eye contact with my mother. Later, I listen to the message. Trevor's voice cracks between sobs. The marriage is over. He left when he found out about the money. I didn't know how bad things were. Please call me back. That evening, a formal letter arrives from my father. His elegant script fills 3 pages, apologies for years of neglect, followed by a carefully worded plea for financial assistance. The pattern is familiar: remorse, then request. It settles something final inside me. I arrange to meet them at a coffee shop 2 blocks from my apartment, neutral ground. I arrive 10 minutes early and choose a corner seat with clear sight lines to the door. They arrive together, as always, though smaller now. My father's once commanding posture is bowed by loss. Trevor follows, her left hand bare where a 4-carat engagement ring once gleamed. Her eyes are rimmed red, stripped of the confidence that once defined her. I don't rise when they approach. I don't offer hugs or gentle words. I gesture toward the 3 chairs I've arranged, evenly spaced, directly across from mine. Thank you for coming, I say. My mother speaks first, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse. We always favored Trevor because she was easier to control. The admission lingers heavily between us. Your independence threatened us. We didn't know how to handle it. My father nods, eyes fixed on the coffee cup in front of him. We took the path of least resistance. It was wrong. Trevor looks up, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. They told me you owed us, she whispers, voice trembling. Because you were the less lovable child. And I believed them. The words should wound me. Once, they might have. Now they simply confirm what I have known all along. We need help getting back on our feet, my father says, pulling a stack of papers from his briefcase. Just until we can get settled. The bank gave us 30 days to vacate. We thought perhaps your apartment. I raise my hand, stopping him mid-sentence. The debt between us isn't measured in dollars. Their faces shift, confusion at first, then disbelief as understanding dawns. You can't mean that, my mother begins. I wish you well, I reply standing. But we no longer have a relationship. My mother's face collapses, not the performative sorrow I've seen for decades, but genuine pain cracking through the facade. My father sits motionless, half-drawn papers slipping from his briefcase. Trevor reaches for my hand. Please, Justine. I glance at her fingers, unpolished, the skin raw from nervous picking, and take a step back. The empty chair set me free, I say quietly. It showed me exactly where I stood with this family. And I'm grateful for that clarity now. I walk toward the door, every step steady, deliberate. The lifelong wait, the yearning for approval, the endless compliance, falls away behind me. From the table come my mother's muffled sobs, my father's voice calling after me. I don't turn back. Some debts can never be repaid. Some chairs stay empty by choice. Outside, the autumn sunlight warms my face. I draw in a deep breath of crisp October air. For the first time in 33 years, I am entirely free. A year later, I trail my fingertips along the wrought iron railing of a Tuscan villa terrace, the sunset washing the landscape in gold. Below me, the wedding of international pop star Mary Evans unfolds, every detail executed to perfection. The string quartet's melody drifts through the courtyard while guests in evening attire move like brushstrokes across stone and candlelight. My assistant, Cassidy, appears at my elbow, tablet in hand. Everything's running flawlessly, she reports, then hesitates. Your mother called the office again, 4th time this month. I take a sip of Prosecco, bubbles dancing on my tongue. The same answer as always, I say. Cassidy nods and slips away, conferring with the photography team, confident, capable, a reflection of the company I've built since walking away from my family to honor my profession. A chime from my laptop reminds me of my weekly therapy session. Dr. Renault's face appears on screen, her silver glasses catching the fading Italian light. Magnificent view, she notes. How are you feeling today? I consider her question as a server carries a bouquet of fresh-cut roses toward the bridal suite below. I don't regret walking away, I say slowly. I regret waiting so long to do it. And the nightmares about the wedding? Not in months. I turn the laptop toward the terrace view. I've replaced those images with better ones. Later that night, I return to my rented apartment overlooking the Arno River. The walls hold photographs not of blood relatives, but of chosen family, my business partner Daniel laughing during our firm's 5th anniversary, the vendors who stood by me when everything collapsed, my therapy group during our Vermont retreat. A message lights up my phone, Harrison, inviting me to dinner tomorrow with friends who've become more like family than my own ever were. I answer immediately, yes. Back in Columbus, according to acquaintances, reality has rewritten my family story. Mother now works at a department store perfume counter, designer labels replaced with a name tag and polyester uniform. Trevor's divorce was finalized 3 months after her husband uncovered the truth about their finances. She lives in a modest studio apartment, much like the one she once mocked me for renting during college. The irony doesn't escape me. My parents now share a small 2-bedroom rental in a complex they once dismissed with disdain. I remember Mother's voice when I was 16, driving past that same place. Those people should try harder. Now she is those people. The next afternoon, I interview Cassandra Reynolds, a young event planner whose story mirrors mine. She's been putting herself through school, planning events for free to build a portfolio. My parents think this career is beneath me, she admits softly. They wanted a doctor or a lawyer. I smile faintly. Family doesn't always see your worth. That doesn't diminish it. Her gaze drifts toward a framed photo on my wall, a single empty chair beneath a chandelier. What does that represent? She asks. It reminds me that sometimes not having a seat pushes you to build your own table. Understanding flickers in her eyes. That chair was at my sister's wedding, I continue quietly. Finding it empty was the best thing that ever happened to me. The tears in her eyes aren't from sadness, they're recognition. That evening, back on the terrace, I raise a silent toast beneath the Tuscan stars. Last month, I established the Empty Chair Foundation, offering scholarships to event planning students without family support. Yesterday, I accepted an invitation to give a TED Talk on maintaining professional integrity within personal relationships. This morning, I received a letter from a young woman in Nebraska. Your story helped me find my own strength. My handwritten reply was simple. Your chair at life's table is always guaranteed. As the night deepens, I watch the stars reflected in my wine glass. In their shimmer, I see both who I am and who I used to be. The daughter who begged for affection, the sister who accepted scraps of love, the professional who let family take her worth. I whisper to the quiet sky, the empty seat at my sister's wedding wasn't a loss, it was the turning point that led me to my rightful place. And for the first time in 33 years, that place feels exactly right.